Can you see my screen? Yes. Cool. So today we are going to review one of the a quick video I've made. It's a very old request from a lot of users, basically using DynamoDB with Voiceflow. That's need a little bit of setup on the AWS console, but we will go through. And for the first time, if I remember correctly, we will do the project live, actually. So let's dive in. Just a quick summary of what we are going to do here. This simple project will use Dynamo to save user information, and those information will be linked to the user thanks to their email. So for that, we will use, you know what? Let's do that right now. We'll use the user info block. So that's the block that will check if we do have permission to get access to the user email. That's why I'm selecting the user email. I want the user email. We can also use the name, actually. So it's fine to request access or check if we do have access to the email, but the nice thing is to also save that somewhere. And we are doing that by creating the email variable. Let's add another request. We want the username, and we will save that to the name variable, for example. That should be it. That's all we need for this this demo. So that's the main part. Basically, the skill will go through the user info block, check if we have access. If we do have access, we'll map the information to the corresponding variable. If we do not have access to that, we need to handle this scenario and ask the user to give us access. So what this will do, and we are selecting access for, or the permission for the same info we are asking right there in the user info block. So that's full name and email. And what this block will do, the permission block, actually, let's rename that. That will be easier for you to see what I'm talking about. So that's the user info, that's the permission. And this permission block will generate a permission card. And those permission cards are visible in the Alexa app on any mobile phone or smartphone, actually, but also on the website, alexa.amazon.com. And that's what we will use today. What we need, the last thing we need is the speak. We want to tell the user why we need to access those information. That's mandatory. That's something the Alexa certification team will ask you to do. So here, I will make a quick message here, but you will have to describe why and the use of the user data. So user data permission request. Obviously, that's not the kind of message, the type of message we will use here, but again, that's for the demo. Nothing here, so basically the skill will end. Let's do a quick test just to check that everything is working if we do have access. So hi, name, hi, name. And we can use also your email is, we'll use the email. That's fine. Let's upload that to Alexa. And using the Alexa Developer Console as well as this the alexa.amazon.com website, we should be able to test that. click right there if you want to see the build progression. So that's the main part. This will be actually we can use that in a flow, and we will do that right after the test on ADC. Okay, so far so good. So let's refresh. I've changed the name. That's DynamoDB demo. We're good.
User data permission request.
So that's fine. I do not allow the skill to access my information. We went to the no access, sending the card for name and email, and we got the message. Let's check that right there. Yep, that's the case. Full name, email, address. So on the phone, that's pretty much the same thing. You will have a card, and you need to update the permission. To do that, click on the link. You can access the settings. So that's the skill settings. So you can see you have a cross here. So we do not allow that right now, and we will change that. Let's sign in again. And we will change that to enable the skill to access the email and the full name. So just tick right there, save permission. Okay, check mark, should be good. Let's then relaunch the skill again.
Hi, Voiceflow US. Your email is nicholas@voiceflow.com.
So far, so good. We do have the name, I'm Voiceflow US, and the email. And that's all what we need to save that and link the data in the DynamoDB right now. You do remember we want to do to put that in a flow. So copy, select all, shift, drag a rectangle or a selection like this. Copy, and we will paste that in a flow. Shift space will give you access to the spotlight. We use flow, create a new flow. So that's user info flow. Nice. Should open automatically. Yes, it is. Paste up, and we're good. We will not use that anymore. Let's add some color here. So permission, let's put that in red actually, because we are exceeding the skill. User info, that's a check. We can do a green or a blue. Let's do a green. We are dealing with some data. That's what I'm using to do. A green is when I'm dealing with data. All right, we do have we don't have a flow now. We can get rid of those. Yes, and like that. I think it's time to set up everything on the AWS console, and we will start with the table, the DynamoDB. So you go to the AWS Management Console, you search for DynamoDB, create table. You know what, let me show the chat so I can see if you have any question. Okay, tonight is date. If you have any question, put that in the chat. That's a good question, Joel, actually. Why using Voiceflow, with using Voiceflow, what's the pros and cons with using DynamoDB versus Airtable? Actually, I think regarding the use case, but if we are going to do a skill that will target a lot of users, that can cost you a lot of more on Airtable than on Dynamo. The pro is also that if you have a live skill, you can ask for Amazon credits, so Amazon developer credits. And that will give you, actually Amazon will give you $100 each month to cover the cost. And that can also cover DynamoDB API gateway. So that's the thing we are using here. So basically you can use Dynamo for free. And that's a good pro. The other thing is Dynamo might be way more robust than Airtable, and way more, maybe another way, more robust than using the Google Sheet integration. So back to our table creation. What will be the table name? That will be users. The primary key, that's an unique key. So we used to put the user ID or the device ID, but the thing is, the device ID and user ID are not actually unique. As soon as the user will deactivate and reactivate the skill, the user ID will change. Same for the device ID. So it's not very reliable. One user, I think it was Robert, but it looks like in the device ID, 27 characters are unique every time. So that's something you may want to double check. But if that's the case, that can be useful. And then you can use the device ID. But for this demo, we will use the email. So that's, and because also the email will be unique. That's all we need to set up for that part. So let's create that. And that's pretty much everything we need for the table creation. All the items, so everything we will have right there, we will do that within Voiceflow. So we will add the item with the API. So we don't need to add anything more right there. The second thing you want to do is to create a role, and you do that by going to searching for AM or AM or whatever you want to call that. And the role will basically allow the API gateway to access your Dynamo DB table. So we create a role. We select API gateway. Next, we want permission here. So Amazon API gateway is already attached. We need to set permission boundary. And for that, we are looking for DynamoDB. Sorry about that. So we want to select DynamoDB full access. Don't click on the link, as it will open another tab. Click right there instead. Next tag, we don't want to tag that. The role name will be BF DynamoDB API, and we can't use space, so let's use that instead. Okay, create role. And here you will have to click that again in the list. So that's the fresh created role, VF DynamoDB. And we want to attach a policy. That will also be Dynamo full access. DynamoDB full access. And I've done just, I said what not to do, which is clicking on the link right there. So click this little box right there, attach policy. And we're good. Keep the page open, as we will need the role on right there for the next step. And the next and last step will be to set up the API gateway. So search for API, click on API gateway. And we want to create a REST API. So we want to be sure to click right there, a REST API, not the private, but this one, build. Joel, so I've got some question here. If we use DynamoDB, is it also compatible with Google? Yes, it is, because we are going to create an API, so you can use the API block to send whatever. The only thing about Google is that you can't use the user info or permission block. But you can save other stuff, or you can, for example, if you have a pass where you ask for the username and you want to save that, or ask for an email, as Google do have an email slot, you can do pretty much the same thing and saving those data to the DynamoDB and get them back. So on this page, so we just select the REST API, not the private one, but the REST API, and we are on this page. Should be by default on REST. REST should be already select. We want a new API, and we will call that VF Dynamo API. We can use space here and create API. All right. So what we want to do is to be able to post the data. So when I'm talking about the data is basically the user email, username. We can also save the date, for example, and we will do that. And the time, we can also do that. And let's say the session number, for example. And so that will be a post call to the API to update, to create or update user data. And because we are using the email as the unique or primary key, with the same call, we will be able to update or create. Create if no data is available for that email, or update if we already have that email linked and saved in the database. And we will also need a GET. The GET will allow us to get any information corresponding to the email we are going to send. So action, create a method. The method is a post. That's the first one. You will have to click right there to create that. And now we need to set up that call or that action method. AWS region, that's the one you are using for the DynamoDB. That's US3 for me. You can get that from the overview right there also. So let's do that. US3, AWS service is DynamoDB. No subdomain method is a post. And here we want to, that will be put item. Execution role. You remember, we will need the role arm. That's now, copy that and paste that. And that's it. You'll have to save that method. Okay, and as you can see, we can test the method. We can modify and do some mapping here, and that's what we are going to do. So the mapping for the integration request, and we will use the mapping template option right there. So again, select the post, integration request, and then mapping template. Add a mapping template. And the content type will be application JSON, because we want to use a JSON body to update or create the user, and we'll do the same thing for the GET. A little warning, do you want to secure this integration? We will say yes, and basically that means that we need to define a content type on our call. So that will be in the headers of the request. That's just another way to secure the call or the request. So we want that. And the template, so basically I've just copied that from multiple tutorial you can find on the internet. Basically, I've just changed that a bit. So that's from the previous video I've made, but we still need the email, we still need the name. Score will be a session actually. So that's a number. Session. So just to explain that a bit, what we are saying here is from the body request, that's why we are in the integration request, from the body, the JSON body we are sending. The API gateway will update the table name users, and it will populate that with the email, which is a string, so we have S, and the input pass, so in the JSON, that should be the email. Same for name, that's a string, and the input pass is name. You just want to be sure that the name is the name of the item on the table, on the DynamoDB. But as we are creating that, there's no real issue here. Session, that's a number. That's why we don't have an S, but an N instead. And same here, that will be the session. Yeah, we were talking about adding also the date. Let's do that. Date. And because we want that to be readable by human, we will also use a moment library in our project to basically transform a date on in a more readable value. So we'll use string for that. Date. That's it. Let's save that. Let's save that again, just to be sure. And the next thing we want to do is to create a resource, actually. And this resource will be the way to do the get. So the resource name will be user, resource pass, email. So basically here, resource name will be whatever you will have to, sorry, the resource name should be email, sorry, but it's whatever we are going to search in the database. And the resource pass is the end of the endpoint, what we are passing to that endpoint in the URL, and that will be the user email. So resource name, email, resource pass, resource path, email, and we need the bracket here to link that to the DynamoDB value. I'm not sure actually resource name. I think you can put whatever you want here. Just, I didn't test that, and because that's live, I just want to be secure here. But I can't see why you shouldn't use whatever name you want here. Create a resource. Okay, that's fine for the resource. And the last step is to create a method, and that will be the get. All right. That's the same setup as the previous post method. West service, that's Dynamo. DynamoDB. No subdomain, that's a post. So again, we are doing a get, but the API gateway will do a post. So the method will use a post to talk to the DynamoDB. Action query. So again, Rob, tell me that you can use the get item as you are looking for only one item. So both should work actually. Get item or query should work. Again, a query is fine, as you can also use query if you look for multiple item, or in your request if you are using multiple item. So yeah, I used to deal with query instead, but you can put query or get item here. Execution rule, same. Let's copy past that and save. The get mapping will be a bit different. We need that for the integration request, but also for the integration response. So request, again, we will tell the API gateway what we are sending, what to do with what we are sending, which will be the email. And the response is what the API gateway will send back to us. So that's also why we need the integration response here. Integration request, click that there, mapping template, that's application JSON. Okay, yes, we want to secure this integration, and the get mapping template will be, let's copy paste that. Table name users. If you have a doubt, go back here and check that's the table name. That should be users. Email, yes. Expression, attribute value, input param name, email, that's a string. And that's pretty much it. We are just telling that we are, the integration needs to use the email as the value. Save that twice, because why not? And go back to the method execution, and in the integration response, you don't need to add one, use the already made one. So you need to click on the little arrow here. Mapping template, application JSON. Again, you don't need to create one because that one is already created. And we want to use this mapping template. Okay, let me check that we have pretty much everything we want. So that's the session. I'm not sure if I put an S on the previous one, but we will check that. That's a number, that's session. Okay, let's make it plural. So sessions, session number, that's a name, that's a string, email, that's a string. And let's copy that and add the date. Date and date. So for each element from the email, we want link to the email. We want the email, the name, the session, the date. And we don't need that actually. Was from my copy paste. Okay, for we should be good. Save twice, save here. Not sure you need to do that, but just in case. And go to post, because I want to be sure that I'm not missing something here with the session. Session, we need a S. Sessions. All right, save. And we should be good, ready to test. So on the post method, click on test, request body, and that will be the body we will send within Voiceflow with the API block. So we want an email That's mandatory. Without an email, you will not do anything. So Nicola@voiceflow.com. We want a name, name. Nico, we want a session number that will be 2, for example, and we want a date. And for now, we will put date or whatever. Test that. Response body, that's 200, that should be fine. Let's just check the DynamoDB. Refresh right there. Yes, we are actually talking to our DynamoDB table. So it's working fine. As you can see, if now I'm updating that, we already have a record for Nicola@Voiceflow. If I'm testing that, it's still fine. And it didn't create a new one. Just check for the session, should be 3 after the refresh. And that's the case. So the post is working fine. What about the get? So get tests, email value will be Nicola@voiceflow.com. Test, and we're good. That's a number, that's a string. So far, so good. Last thing we want to do, yeah, maybe not for this. Otherwise, we'll maybe not have the time to do it. But okay, let's go back to Voiceflow. And if we have the time, we will add an API, like we will use an API key to secure the post and get method. DynamoDB user. Oh no, sorry, that's not the end. We need to actually action deploy the API. So here, action deploy the deploy API. Otherwise, you will not have access to the API. Select new stage here. Stage name will be user description, no description. You can put whatever you want here. And it's deploy. And now we have the invoke URL. So that's the one we will use in the demo. Let's copy and paste that in an API block. So the first one will be the create update. So user, fine, either. If you do remember, we need to set a content type here. So let's do this. Content type, application, JSON. And we want to send a body, that will be a row, and that will be JSON, a JSON format. So email should be the value of the email variable we've created in Voiceflow. If you don't remember what variable you are using, it's the M key on your keyboard. Go to the variable tab, and you can see that we have email name sessions, and we do have S here. That's fine because that's the Boolean one. Name, email, session, and we will need to create the date. Let's do that right now. Date, enter. Okay. So email, we are again doing the post. So we want to send everything we got from the user info, name. We don't have any date right now. We'll do that after. So again, the date and sessions. That can already be sessions variable, actually. We have that. All right. And I'm thinking we are good to go. So email, let's create a new one. Go at gmail.com, name, Nico, session, that's the first one. Send a request. Response, that's you, that's fine. Let's check right there, refresh. So that's the DynamoDB table. And Nico email the date. Yes, Voiceflow is talking to our DynamoDB. So far, so good. So that's the create, update, user thing. Let's create a new one, API, and we will do the get. So actually that's a get, sorry, get. Let's copy the URL right here. And at the end, we will use the email. So we want to do that and email, either content type, still same application JSON. We are not sending any param, only the email in the URL. And test request. Nicola, and we don't have any information. So I've missed something maybe. Nicola, oh yeah, maybe we need the S here. Nope. Interesting. Interesting. Email. Content type. What I'm missing here. User email. Let's do another test on the API gateway. Stage user. Good. Resource. Get. Test. Test. We should have something. Why? Request. That's the request. Let's do another test. Setting that. Oh, okay. Got it. I have something here. I shouldn't have. Yips. Yeah, I had another bracket here. That's why it was not working. Sorry about that. That's all about doing in live stuff. That's also help you to see how to debug and see what is not working. Sorry, must be a valid JSON object. Yes. So why we don't have that? We got something. It's just not. JSON. Again, interesting. So that's yeah, I think that's related to whatever we have here. Looks like JSON to me. Content type, application JSON. Yep. Application JSON. Actually, that's the response. I need to get the application JSON. User. Yeah, I'm not sure why. Oh, you see? That's an extra comma. We don't want that. Save. Save. I made it on purpose. Not joking. Okay, test. Finger crossed. Nope, still not. Okay, why it's not working? Voiceflow name, session 3. date, the date. Oh, we still have that. So maybe we have to wait that everything is, or that's also why I'm saving that a lot. Okay, comma, 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 no comma, should be fine. We may need to deploy that again, but just in case, let's redo a quick test right there. Copy paste that. Actually, no, and I think we still have the extra comma. Yeah. All right. Action. Deploy. User. Deploy. Log tracing. No log. Okay. Save that. I don't think this URL has changed, but just in case, because obviously they don't want to help us today. User email, that's fine. Of course. .com. Yeah, okay. Well, at least you know how to debug the stuff. All right. So if you do a change on anything, request on the API gateway, do not forget to also update and like deploy the API again. Actually, is that a different URL? I don't think so. A3C, no, that's the same one. So at least that's handy. Okay, we do have a get. We do have like a create update, sorry, and we create user info. So we may want to try that. Body, name, email, okay. And are we doing a get after that? Yes, we can. So I'm just making the request for the 5th time just to get the pass we need. So email, actually, I'm sure we need that, but we can email, name, session date. I'm just copying the first pass. So I got like the main path we'll use, and that will be response.user.0.email. Same for stations, same for, and we are grabbing the first because we should have only one actually, because we are using the email, and email is a primary key. Session name and the date. So you can map that to the same variable or another one regarding if you want to something else change on the user account. That can be something interesting to do, like the names can change if the user get married. But even the email, not sure about that, but I'm not sure you can see. Yeah, you can update your email. So that can be interesting. But in that case, you will lost the link to the user. So you may want to do a search by name then. Let's stick to the more simple option. Session, email, name, date. Speak out. A name. Looks like it's working. So post, as we got a 200, we can just add like something if we do have a failure here. For this one, you can do a check regarding the variable value. So if name is equal to nothing, that means that you don't get anything here. You can also reset. So, okay, fail. You can also reset with a set block, for example, right before the call. You just want not to reset the email. So that will basically refresh. So name, set name to, you can use nothing or 0, for example. So that's a way to do it. You put name, date. You don't want to, actually you can also reset the session because obviously you will get that from the database. So date, name, sessions. But yeah, we don't want to do that. Upload that. So again, we create the user. If the user is already existing, we will just update basically the session and the date. And then after that, we grab back the user info. That's not the best flow. Most likely you will update the user and get user info only when you need that. Maybe you will never use the get user info in your skill. If you're, for example, you are using DynamoDB for analytics stuff only, you are just populating the Dynamo database and you may not want to get any user info, or the user will not be able to get any user info. All right, upload successful, DynamoDB.
Hey, Voiceflow US. Looks like it's working.
Hey, Voiceflow US. So this one, because that's my actual email I'm using in the skill, the date should be the same, the name should be Voiceflow US, and the session should be 1, 2. I don't remember how many tests we've made. Let's refresh that. 3. So the date was for US and 3. All right, it's working. What we want to use is, now let's talk about how to deal with the date, actually. That's something that's going to be interesting. We have 10 minutes, sorry about that, but I will need to hurry a bit here. You may know that you are now able to load an external library within the code block. So no fancy stuff here. Do not use any library that's also using Axios or Express or any request stuff. You will not be able to do that. But that still allow you to use kind of a lot of very interesting library. So I will start with this one. And that's the Voca.js. And this is all regarding string manipulation. And the good one for our example will be, for example, the Camel Case, as you can see here, or the capitalize. So what we are going to use, I think the Camel Case should be good. You have a title case. Yeah, just for you to know, I want, okay, actually we want the title case. I want to be sure that the username will always have like a uppercase. So if, let's say, let's do some markup here. Sometimes the user just use that. I'm not sure that Amazon already do the uppercase stuff, but if the user puts a name like Voiceflow US. We want this to be uppercase, like Nicola Voiceflow. Okay, you got it. We will use that as an example, actually. Sorry about that. I should mute Alexa. Okay, let's exit the markup and go back right there. So what we are doing is require from URL, and we are grabbing the voca min JS. So that's the library. That's the first thing you want to do. And we are putting that in the constant. And let's comment the string we want to manipulate. And as you've seen, we want to use the title case. So you have some example right there. Let's use that. What is in the is I'm declaring the V. I can use the example straight from there because sure you can use whatever you want here, but yeah, it makes it simple to use the same as in the example. So title case, here you should use the name variable, but for the demo, as on my account, I've already have the uppercase and everything. Yeah, Voiceflow US, so we don't need that. We'll use this example right there. And we will actually use the debug variable for that, but we don't have the debug variable. So we will create mkey variable debug. That's a variable I like to use a lot because simply it will allow me to debug any value, and using it as a global variable, I can put that everywhere. Debug, and boom, let's test that, double check. The debug is that, and we will speak out the value of the debug variable. Let's start.
Nicholas Voiceflow US.
Nicola Voiceflow US. So I think we can deal with that for now, but you get it. Ideally, if you have, let's do another test, but I think you got the stuff here. Let's use the full name. Start.
Nicholas Arque Bermejo.
And that's fine. She didn't say that correctly, but that's fine. Uppercase, uppercase, uppercase. Cool. That's the first use of the voca string library and the required from URL. So pretty easy. I mean, instead of using a lot of JavaScript, just bring back any library that you want to use. And they do have a lot of stuff here. You can check if it's block, it's digit, alpha. So if it's uppercase, whatever. For example, for the US thing, the last S character was lowercase. I mean, you can just use that to check. That's for the required from URL stuff. We will not have the time to finish everything, but most of the main goal is done. Let's do a quick one with Moment. So Moment is another library, and it's very useful for the date. So for example, I want to that's also the library we are using in the Netflix movie project, Netflix Roulette project. So we are using the using the constant moment. We are mapping the moment library in it, and we are using that to format the date to whatever we want. And what we want is for this is this kind of stuff. So it's more readable. We will have the date and the time. So let's grab that. And again, using the same name is quite helpful. Moment format, and that's it. Here you don't use anything. That's mean now. So that's the current date, and that's what we are using here. Okay, we don't need that anymore. We can leave it because it will the big value will be replaced by this one. But let's test that.
August 20th, 2020, 3:58 and 52 seconds p.m.
So looks like good to me. Way easier to read for a human. That's a default timestamp or any weird date format we can use. So you know what? Easy. Let's use the date variable for that. And yeah, we can also use, actually, we can also use the name here. It will not do anything because the name is already fine, but yeah, just in case, that will look like that. So we want title case, the name value, and because we are in the code block, we are not using any bracket here. And the global name will be replaced, the value of the variable will be replaced by the title case version of it. Date, same thing. Date will be set to the more human readable value we've seen during the test. Okay, it's the time. Let's just do a quick test right now. Doop. Let's link that here, just in the case everything explode. Best thing is to link that. So again, user info flow. You should also maybe create a flow for the create update, and same for the get user info actually, but you get the idea. And we can now access, get information and create information within a Dynamo database, which is cool. Any question before I launch the last test for that? Speechless. All right, sounds good. If you turn the mouse like that, it should go, yeah, quicker. Just kidding, don't do that. DynamoDB.
Hey, Voiceflow us. Looks like it's working.
Voiceflow us. Actually, it's working because now the S is lowercase. And let's check, Nicola, the date, Voiceflow us, session 3. Session 4, Voiceflow us. The date, not working. Voiceflow. So why it's not working? I'm not sure. Oh yeah, of course, because the date. Let's do an extra test here. I just said no, don't do it. Stop. Okay. Email name date session should be good. Let's remove that. Yeah, I will clean that later. All right, should be good now.
Hey, Voiceflow us. Looks like it's working.
Voiceflow us. So we should have a 5 here and the human readable date. And that's the case. That's all for me, and that's all for today. Hope you enjoy that session, and yeah, I will talk to you very, very soon.
Thanks so much, Nico.